Welcome, Jon Schultz, to the Tech Caddie podcast. Jon is with ezLocator, actually the founder of ezLocator. Jon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Mike. I look forward to having a conversation with you.
Yeah, I do too. We typically have spoken with and worked with technologists on the golf operations side. Another way to say that would be that's really impactful inside of the golf shop or the pro shop. And I know you all are probably working more with superintendents than you are golf professionals, but the more I looked at your company, it occurred to me that you actually do provide a benefit for the golf professional. I frankly also don't want to exclude superintendents. I think there's good technology out there for superintendents. We should be talking about those things. So I appreciate you coming on because I think it'll be a good conversation. And maybe it opens us up to more conversations that are helpful to superintendents as well as the golf professionals.
That sounds wonderful. Let's get started.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, I can tee it up a little bit. You all are in this space of hole locations or pin placements, if you will, using technology, I think, to help teammates communicate better internally, using some technology to help determine where the appropriate pin would be for today. But why don't you give us your elevator pitch, and then maybe we can get into why you built the company.
Sure, absolutely. Be happy to do that. So in a nutshell, ezLocator is a solution for the superintendent to find the daily optimum hole location. It's also a great tool to communicate amongst the staff within a facility. So the superintendent starts the process with finding the hole location. The golf shop, in turn, receives that information, is able to basically present that to the membership. And so really what it amounts to is find the optimum hole location, communicate that effectively to the golf shop, and enhance the player's experience. And that has always been the basis for ezLocator from day one. We view that our solution may originate in the grounds department, but it encompasses all phases of the operation of a facility.
And when you say find the optimal pin location or hole location,
right.
Is there technology being used to do that, or does that still ultimately come back to the brainchild of the superintendent?
Well, back in the day, we all basically, as a player or from the golf shop's perspective, we wanted to have the hole moved around for various reasons. One is we enjoyed the variety of that. Maybe from a competitive standpoint, we didn't want to give anybody an unfair advantage by having hole locations in certain areas. But all of those requests really came from the player or from the golf shop side. What really needed to happen was consider the agronomic side. What issues do the superintendent have to go through in order to accommodate what the player and the golf shop's looking for? So that's where ezLocator came about. It started out as a club project. Basically, we were complaining about why are the hole locations in the same location. I was very fortunate. I belong to a club that has 36 holes. So we mixed it up on the weekends. We'd play one course on Saturday, the other course on Sunday, switch it up the following week. But we were always seeing the same hole locations. So from a player's perspective, we wanted to see variety. The golf shops wants variety. And so the whole genesis was to basically work with the ground staff to understand what challenges that they come through. So over the years, we have basically developed a rules-based application. It's now being powered by AI. We started to enhance our algorithm. We received a patent on our product, a US patent in 2018. We also have an international patent, but we're expanding the capabilities and the functionality of the software to start thinking more like a superintendent, more like what a player would like to see, and also create a tournament-like feel on a daily basis.
It's interesting how many conversations I have that will ultimately get to AI. And one of the things you start to realize is that there are a lot of different definitions of AI. Lots of technologists want to say they have artificial intelligence in their app or their when you say that you're now relying on some AI, what does that mean exactly? Can you translate that a little bit for the listener?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, AI basically is understanding patterns. And so it requires the ability to understand the patterns of your customer base. And if we can do it on a customer by customer basis, we understand what the customer is looking for, we understand their environment, and how do we produce a better product to ensure that what their next step is going to be, we can almost be predictive about that. There's always going to be, in my view, since I come from the technology space back in the day when Al Gore invented the internet, I was very gracious to help deploy it. But what I see is we're always going to have that human element involved in setting up the golf course how we'd like to do it. And the idea is, how do we imitate that and get it as close as possible? If we're able to understand our customer on an individual basis and apply those metrics to them, that's really what truly AI is all about for our application.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of the day, part of the value that you bring to the golf course, let's say business overall, is an improved level of communication, right? That you're making it much more seamless for everyone, all the stakeholders, to understand the plan, maybe chime in on the plan. I think communication is part of the value you all deliver.
Absolutely. Communication is really important with any organization. Just think about one of the favorite comments I get all the time from our customers is, we don't hear complaints about co-locations anymore. And why is that? Well, everybody's on the same page. The ground staff knows where to put it. It's effectively communicated to the golf shop, and the player experiences that. We also have mobile devices, basically, so the player can actually see where that whole location is on a daily basis. And if there happens to be a last-minute change through technology, we're able to adapt to that. So when we come to a specific hole where there was a last-minute change because of a bear rolling across the green or some other animal out there, the superintendent's able to make that, and he doesn't necessarily have to basically communicate that. That is seamless through our entire process.
Let's talk about that seamlessness, if you will, because I did some research here. You've got integrations. I don't know if that's the term you use, but in the T-sheet side, we typically say integrations. But you got integrations with Club Essential, 4Ts, Pace Setter. I think a lot of people don't know Pace Setter is actually an app for golf courses. I don't think it's too much about pace of play. Task Tracker, which I actually am familiar with, and I think some people that listen to this podcast are, and then Playbooks. But you also, I think, have integrations with Club Car, Toro. Not sure if you have John Deere or not, but it's through those integrations that you can probably quickly update hole locations so that the golfer ultimately can see what's going on number 7 as they tee off. But again, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's absolutely correct. So one of my backgrounds is from the technology space. And what I see is there's a movement of organizations coming together to provide their solution, which they being best in class, combining those solutions to provide a better experience for the player, a better operating condition for the operators themselves. And so I've kind of nicknamed our piece of that as the Connected Club. And the whole concept is, we integrate with a Club Car today with their Visage product. So any joint customer of ours, when the carts roll out of the cart barn, the whole locations are already in place in their Visage product. So there is no need for the golf shop to have to upload anything. It's seamless and it works. If there happens to be a last-minute change, the system automatically updates, and when I come to a specific hole, I'm able to see exactly where it is. The whole idea is we want to try to create a better experience for the members, for the golf shop environment, and for the club as a whole.
And how taxing is it for your company to write another integration and another integration? Is that that's a bear, Mike, that's a 60-day process for us, or is it something that you can quickly spin up? How nimble are you when it comes to integrations?
Well, it's extremely easy for us. When we first started ezLocator, we leveraged some of the ideas and concepts that were already out there. I think we were one of the first companies in the golf industry to embrace what's called cloud technology. Some people call it SaaS. Others call it, client server, depending upon what kind of nomenclature you're using. But we embraced that early on. So since 2011, we've been using that type of a model. And basically it allows us to provide a better service to our customers because our customers are seeing exactly the same thing that all of our other customers are seeing. So we're not having to update individual desktops or laptops or computer systems. So from that standpoint, there's a system called API, Application Protocol Interface. And we have what's called an open API. So if we're integrating with any of the ones that you mentioned or any future integrations, we open that avenue up to our partners. And based upon that, it's basically a handshake. It's a way to shake hands between two disparate organizations so that we're able to effectively communicate what we have and what they are looking for. So it's a very seamless integration. So for instance, if we have a pace setter or 4Ts or somebody else out there that wants to integrate, if a client comes to us and says, hey, I'm a 4Ts customer or a Club Essential customer, that is immediately turned on. No wait time. It's really seamless. Our partners, is notified that it happens. It's just really, really straightforward and easy. Same thing with Club Car integration. And we expect to see that more and more over time. The whole idea is, and I like to use the word seamless. It's real easy to create processes in place that we know that we can do over and over and over again to create this seamless boundary between partners out there. And therefore, you provide a consistent product, everybody's happy, and no more players walking through the golf shop saying, what crazy guy put that hole there today? So
right. And you mentioned customers. Obviously, that's what it all boils down to. I think in my neck of the woods, you've got Scioto that you serve, and you serve Muirfield Village. Certainly, these are high-end top 100 clubs. Talk about maybe some of the people that you work for that aren't top 100. Are you working for municipalities? Are you working for the kind of the typical daily fee course? What's your customer profile look like?
Yes, it's real easy to basically say we've got a list of high profile clubs out there, which we do. We also have a lot of mid-tier clients, and we also have a lot of other municipal courses out there also. We even have courses that are associated with universities too. So in our product itself, it's 3 tiers of product, and it depending upon somebody's budget, their needs, and their focus, we can satisfy whether or not it's a high-end club or it's a daily fee course out there. We have that ability to provide that. That's the wonderful thing about software. We don't have to go back in the shop and create more widgets. We can just turn on the software based upon the customer's needs. It's all determined by the setup that the customer fits in their budget.
Your site says 500 clients, and obviously that could have grown since that page went up. But what's your sense for the breakdown? Daily fee versus your more traditional private clubs. What's your sense for the breakout of that?
I would have to say that about 60 to 65% of our clients are the private clients, and about I would say about 30% are the daily fee courses, and about 5 to 10% are resorts. And so that's kind of how the breakdown is for us.
Very good, very good. So why'd you do this? You obviously probably had a problem of your own, but why decide to ultimately build a full company? What led you to believe that there was enough demand for it? Just share that a little bit. We have a lot of entrepreneurs that watch this podcast, so this will be helpful.
Well, it's really quite interesting. I came from the technology space. I built a very successful career in the technology world. Had a lot of the technology run up in the 90s. And like I said, I play at the Dallas Athletic Club, which is a 36-hole facility in Dallas. Claim to fame is 1963. Jack Nicklaus won his first PGA there, and it was 105 degrees. So the PGA over these years has finally decided to wake up and have it in May. Yeah. But anyhow, it was really one of those things, sitting in the 19th hole, hearing some of my playing partners complain about 3 things. They complained about bunker conditions, ball marks on greens, and hole locations. And the way we had ours set up was we had a quadrant system. It was basically 6 quadrants over 7 days. And so if we played the gold course on Sunday, hole position number 2, and if we played the following Saturday, we played the gold course because we switched those up, it would be hole location number 2. So I looked at it from that standpoint, talked to a partner of mine and said, hey, what do you think? I think we can do something like this. I had the idea. He did all the legwork of creating this application, and we built it for our superintendent at DAC. It ran very successfully, very quiet for a number of years. And then in about 2008, a good friend of mine, we were having lunch. He goes, John, you built this application for your club. I think you can build a business into it. So in 2008, I decided to change gears. I decided to take my only sales hat off for the technology space and become an entrepreneur. And from then, it's been an uphill climb. I thoroughly have enjoyed it. I wouldn't trade all the money in the world not to go through this. It's really been exciting. But the most important thing, the most gratifying piece of that is not only building a business and is starting from scratch, is actually satisfying the customer. When a customer calls and says, boy, the comments about whole locations are almost minimal. That's really, really money in the bank to me. Just the personal satisfaction of making people's lives happier in the golf environment really basically has just really a lot of satisfaction. And I think entrepreneurs in general, they love to make the money, but I think the whole thing is they come up with a unique solution, and we are very fortunate to have one. But the overall satisfaction we get is the ability to help others basically where they have a challenge or a need to basically be fixed.
Jon, I'm curious, how's your churn? I'm thinking it's low because there's probably not a lot of direct competition, and it looked to me like it's an affordable product. But I would be curious because I think churn really tells a lot of the story of what you're up to. How's churn in the business?
Right. Well, a churn in our business, we've been in business for about 15 years now, and we have over a 99.9% retention rate.
That's kind of what I figured.
High.
Yep.
I can't count on two hands the number of clients that we've lost, and every time we lose one, basically we do an analysis of why, and every one of them tends to be different. But when you talk about competition, one of the things that I see is we're very blessed that we have a unique solution out there. We have no official competition out there, except what we're trying to do is understand how can we accelerate the business in the golf industry. So we consider our primary competitor is the company or the club that does that does nothing or satisfied with what they have. So that's our biggest competition. We're a well-known commodity out there. We got brand recognition. It's just a matter of how do we accelerate that growth in the coming years.
Yep, makes sense. Well, listen, another reason I got turned on to your company is because of this 2024. What do you call it? 2024 Invitational? Is that what you guys call this?
We call it the Easy Invitational.
Easy Invitational, playing off of ezLocator, right?
Right, and really it kind of plays off the word easy also. We get so many comments from our clients how easy it is to begin using ezLocator, but the Easy Invitational is our way of having a little bit of fun. We enjoy having fun. And so what it amounts to is anybody can sign up and join. There is no cost associated. And we focus on the four majors. We start with the Masters, go to the PGA, US Open, and the Open Championship. So you pick one team of 12 players. You have four majors. And after each major, we have some winners. We have a top prize and other prizes that we hand out for those individuals that were successful at that. And it builds upon itself throughout the year. And at the end of the year, we have a grand prize for the person that basically, is number one in the rankings overall. And we rank it based upon combined money earned during those events.
Right. And so I signed up earlier today, and what I thought would be fun would be we'd put a little more exposure on it. We'll include this in our newsletter that we send out each week, and maybe we'll check in with you once or twice to see how it's going. But it looked to me after I signed up, I think my lead pick was Scheffler, and I was able to get Bubba Watson and Phil Mickelson in the kind of the leftover pool, if you will. I really thought long and hard about Victor Hovland, but I thought Scheffler's playing pretty good right now, so I ended up going with Scheffler. At any rate, I went through the pick process. It was really easy. I think we'll put a link in the show notes of this podcast so other people can sign up. Now, the deadline is April 10th. Which is the day before the Masters is what I assume that is.
Right. And what we have found over the years is, it starts off slow with people that want to get in, but usually the last couple of days, everybody's just really trying to jockey for position. There's no limit on who you can choose. If everybody wants to choose Scottie Scheffler, that is fine. I think he would be a good safe pick. I think Victor Hovland would be another one that I would keep an eye on. One of the other names that's kind of a dark horse to some people is Justin Thomas. I'm starting to hear his name come around. Now, whether or not Tiger Woods is in that mix, he's signed up to play. So if you want to pick Tiger, years past, it would probably have been a lock to have him in there too.
I did see that he is signed up to play. I'm surprised a Dallas guy like yourself, I'm not hearing Zalatoris or something like that. I figured maybe Spieth. I know Spieth is very popular in your neck of the woods.
Well, we're very fortunate to have a lot of great players coming from the Dallas area, and I would have to attribute, and I always like to support the local organizations that do the yeoman's work. The North Texas PGA has done a fabulous job over the last 30 years of nurturing young individuals to learn and play the game. And ultimately, their result is what you see today on the tour. You see Will Zalatoris, you see Jordan Spieth, you see Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler is he's very, very down to earth. He is everything you see on TV. He's more that in person. He's a member at Royal Oaks Country Club. My oldest son has had the pleasure of playing with Scotty a lot, and he says Scotty is the real deal. He's just a fine, perfect gentleman. So
that's great. So I'm curious to know, COVID had such a positive impact on a lot of technology businesses in golf, just businesses in golf in general. What does the world look like for you guys over the last 36 months? Has there been more innovation in ezLocator in those 36 months, or is it just some people talk about a 20-mile march, right? And it's just a steady. What's the world? How has COVID impacted ezLocator, and what has the recent roadmap looked like for ezLocator?
Well, I would like to say prior to 2020. I like to use the acronym, from a business perspective, it felt like we were pushing the rope up the hill. And once COVID hit, we got a little bit of help from the customer, and they started pulling the rope up the hill. So we've always grown linearly from that prior to COVID, and now the rocket has left the launch pad, and our business has just taken off through the roof. I think it's a combination of multiple things. One is I think the industry basically was ripe to have some innovation brought to the industry. Money is really coming into facilities more and more because it has done that. But I have to commend the PGA of America, the Golf Course Screen Superintendents Association. For years, they were trying to figure out how to grow the game. And they had in place all the wonderful things to basically, when something like this happened, the people could take advantage of that. They started looking at what can we do to offer more of a family affair, include mom and the children more in the golf experience. And because of that, with COVID, it became a family lifestyle experience. So I see that the trend over the next 3 to 5 years is continuing to move upward. And, I think you're going to see more and more opportunities come about because of that. I think you'll see more companies start to invest in technology now that they see it's an opportunity for growth. We're seeing some of those come our way. We are always constantly reinventing ourselves. In the 15 years that we've been in business, we have basically redone our software 5 times. We're on version 5. We just released some enhancements, just a few days ago. I talk about the AI powered. That's one of the things that we talked about over a year ago when we saw that the need. So we like to say we're on the leading edge of introducing those solutions. But we want to make sure that our customer is ready to accept those when we introduce them.
Yeah, that's a good point. We talked a lot about solving problems last week in our podcast. There's a fine line between building things that you just think would be cool to build, but then really solving problems, right? And my belief is the companies that win are the companies that are focused on solving problems for customers. What would be what's the next big problem that you all can solve? Does it require moving beyond whole locations, or are there more problems to solve specific to pin placements?
Well, I think our biggest challenge that we're looking at is how do we get every club using ezLocator, because it's a great planning tool. I think it solves the challenge with most facilities where labor is going to be a huge factor in the coming years. So we are able to basically reduce the labor cost. We add some process in place, but I think enhancing the overall experience. One of the things that we're seeing is we're getting a lot of interest from other organizations that produce information to the player. You see all kinds of watches, you see all kinds of phones out there. The analytics piece, we're looking at the analytics aspect of it. The other component to this is pace of play. We all know that pace of play is one of those topics discussed. Well, there are several companies out there that are focusing on the pace of play piece. If they actually had the whole location in place, they could actually start to measure pace of play more accurately. From the analytics side, strokes gained tends to be something there. So if they knew where the hole was, they could actually be more accurate on strokes gained. So I think the benefits you're going to start seeing is a combination of what we have today and our vision and collaborating with other entities out there is really going to be the next frontier.
And let's talk a little bit about internal communication. I'm curious to know, do you ever get requests for, hey, you really need to have an integration to Slack, or you really need to have an integration to this team communication system so that it's easier for me to put what I'm doing with ezLocator, and broadcast it throughout the team? Or is that not something you hear? I guess I am curious to understand, how does this information get shared throughout the entire team org?
Well, we're always having our ears to the ground, to listening for what are the requests going to be. And I've always maintained our best ideas and our best requests have always come from our customers.
Right.
One of the things we instituted years ago, I want to say probably about 2013 or 14, is what we call the stimp meter rule. And what that rule is it allows the superintendent to maintain and preserve the green based upon green speed. So if green speeds are high, he knows he has to put it in the flattest part of the green. If green speeds go down, he could be a little bit more liberal on placement of holes. So that idea actually came from a client of ours. He said, what I would love to be able to do is, based upon current green speed, be able to look at all the holes available to me based upon that current green speed. So that has been a major hit. So again, our customers are the ones that have always kind of driven us to success. And we are always listening to what they have. We do on an ongoing basis. We have a couple of individuals with our organization that reach out to our customers on a regular basis. And the whole idea is to make sure that all of their questions are being answered. Are they having any experience with any issues from a training perspective or use standpoint? And what is the next thing that they want to do? In fact, I was just talking with a client prior to this call where he was asking, are you partnering with X? Because we have a relationship with them. And I said, Chris, not today. We are engaged in talking with them. It's just a matter of time before it all happens.
Yeah, I would think that you go back to what you talked about with the connected club. It does ultimately then boil down to, well, then how many connections can you get accomplished and make it easier for your end customer. So I think when people talk about this other company or that other company, that doesn't surprise me at all. I would think Gallus would be one that would come up frequently. If you're connected to Pacesetter, you'd think you'd hear about Gallus as well.
Yeah, we do, and we've had conversations with them. And again, it's all a matter of I think there's multiple things that have to happen. Number one is the partner has to recognize the business need. We recognize the business need immediately. The other one is resource constraint. And so, a growing entity like Gallus Golf, basically they're getting, comments from their client base, hey, can you develop this? And so where do we fit in that pipeline of development? So again, I know the principals at Gallus Golf very well. I've talked with them multiple times. It would be a very seamless integration for us to make that happen. To kind of give you a feel for the difficulty of it, so if you take a look at integration with a small company like Gallus or Task Tracker or some of the other ones, it's usually pretty simple because both organizations are small, nimble, and can react very quickly. I like to use the example of Club Car. When we engaged with the Club Car, signed our contract, signed the agreement, we started working with the engineering team, and I'm thinking, okay, this is probably going to be about a 6 to 8 month project for Club Car to basically figure out what they need to do in order to integrate. 30 days later, they had a product already developed, tested, and ready to go. So it's that simple to make that integration happen. So if it can happen with the big guys, it can happen with anybody else. We're open to that. I like to say we'd like to be the Switzerland in technology. That's been my career. I understand the power of that. There are some benefits to having a closed architecture. You can use the examples of Apple and
Sure.
Google with their phone systems. You know, Apple is really a closed architecture, you know, focus on certain things. But if you really want to get wild and crazy, just go get you an Android phone and you can do whatever you want to do. I'd like to think the market is much bigger for that kind of an environment than a closed architecture. And I think the industry is starting to understand that too. If you look at some of the big companies today, they've all been basically building silos of their business and really trying to provide everything to their client base. And I think what they're learning very quickly is they can't be all things to all parties. So if I'm in the golf shop and I have some sort of application in the golf shop, you know, what can ezLocator do to interface with that? How do we interface with the tee time system? You know, hey, if they have a tee time system, we can add our whole locations there. So before the player even shows up, they know where the whole location is going to be. You know, so there's all kinds of avenues that we all can benefit from these relationships and these partnerships.
Yeah, I've always thought that little tickler notification, maybe it's a reminder. Hey, just as a reminder, you're booked for 10:10 2 days from now or something.
Right.
But then in that reminder, some cool content. And hey, be sure to pay attention to the pin placement on number 5. Right. It's the most challenging pin placement we're going to have that day, right? Because your technology's allowed people to be in front of it, you know, plan for those things, and frankly leverage those things into sellable moments and added value to the golfer. And I think that's when you really start to see systems work well together.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Yep. Okay, so I'm signed up for the Easy Invitational. We're going to encourage all of our followers to sign up. It's free to play, and hopefully we can kind of have some fun with that. I did want to mention, I think you guys have sponsorships with Club Car and Playbooks, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we've recruited a couple of our partners to kind of help us with this and help promote it. And you know, we're all about sharing the success with other companies out there. And so we're very excited about the fact that they wanted to come on board and basically help us with this. We're very excited about it. I think it's, you know, the game is a lot of fun, and I think we're just trying to add value to it wherever we can.
Sure. Tell us a little bit about Playbooks, because it looked to me like you have a pretty close integration with them. It almost seems to me that they're even helping you a little bit on the sales and marketing side. And I spent some time on their site and I kind of recognized some of the branding from your company.
Yes, our relationship with them goes back to 2010. And we had a specific requirement, a specific request that they were happy to fulfill. And over the time, what they've done is they've developed some products. You know, they've come from the agronomic side. They're former couple of superintendents. So they have a couple of apps out there that they basically have created. One of them is called Coverage, which is an app to basically help superintendents and facilities manage chemicals and fertilizer. In some states, you know, having this reporting of how much chemicals and herbicides that you put out on the ground are very important. They also have a conditions app, which is quite interesting. And this app is actually for the club. It's a way for the club to communicate to the membership of the conditions of the course for that day. As an example, you know, if you're going out there and playing and the superintendent or a staff member is able to say, hey, watch out for hole number 5 because we have a sprinkler blowout. Watch out, there's a reason why it's wet. So that app basically is a great communication tool, and they built their organization around how do they provide effective communication. So that's where we kind of joined at the hip of basically how do we provide solutions that improve communication amongst the staff members as well as to the players out there.
Yeah, you know, whenever you can get the golfer or frankly the guys in the golf shop reliant on communication, and then for whatever reason it goes away one day, that's when you really hear people chirp. Whoa, what happened to the notification I'm used to getting? You know,
right?
And that's actually how now look, you don't need help with churn, but other companies do, right? And that's one of the ways I have found in my life that you can really attack churn is you just subtly put some things in place that the customer starts to rely on, and they frankly don't even know they're relying on it, right? And that's when you really kind of start to see the needle shift and churn get to a much better place.
And I think that goes true for the operator. You know, so how do they make their facility sticky with the player?
Yes.
So I like to use the term sticky. So if we're vendors selling to clubs, the idea is how do we make our product sticky so they can't live without it? And I agree with that 100%. I think the whole idea is this, you know, and I'll go back to the concept, whether you call it Connected Club or some other entity, is if ezLocator is embedded with a facility and somebody else partners with us, basically that makes their product sticky. By us integrating with Club Car or Toro, that assists us with being sticky because they are the 800-pound gorillas in the marketplace. So the whole idea is what can we do to create an ecosystem that everybody is successful? You know, it's one thing, I don't like to say win-lose. I like to say win-win-win. You know,
Right.
If we win, our partner wins, obviously our customer is the winner of all of us.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, I've enjoyed meeting you and enjoyed having you on. We'll definitely check back in with you. But ezLocator, it's a cool idea, affordable, and I think it does make a difference both on the operations side and the superintendent side, but it ultimately is good for the golfer. And so I think that's a great thing. So thanks for coming on the Tech Caddie podcast, Jon.
You bet. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay.